Welcome to Wawasan Wire. Today, we're talking about Tan Sri Vigneswaran's political stance. And this is a really big one. We're looking at a major internal shuffle that could, really shake up the dynamics of the unity governance coalition.
It absolutely could. We're analyzing the commitment of the Malaysian Indian Congress, or MIC, and how they're navigating some pretty intense pressure from within their longtime coalition, Barisan Nasional.
So our mission today is really to figure out the strategy here. What's the calculation behind this massive announcement from their leader?
Well, this is more than just a typical political shakeup. The central tension is it's been laid bare by the president of the Malaysian Indian Congress, Tan Sri Vigneswaran.
Right.
He's announced a path forward that essentially splits the party's loyalty.
Yeah.
On one hand, a deep commitment to Prime Minister Dato Seri Anwar Ibrahim, but on the other, this happens even if the Malaysian Indian Congress decides to, well, ditch its alliance with Barisan Nasional. It's a critical move.
Okay, so let's start with that primary assurance, because it really feels like the foundation for everything else that follows.
It is. Vigneswaran made it unequivocally clear. The Malaysian Indian Congress will continue to support Prime Minister Anwar right until the end of the current government's term.
And here's the crucial part, and for you, the listener, this is what you need to remember. That support stays firm, regardless of whether the party actually leaves the Barisan Nasional coalition.
It's a masterstroke of political calculation, honestly. I mean, think about it. By publicly cementing their loyalty to Anwar, he does two things at once.
Go on.
First, he guarantees that the Malaysian Indian Congress stays relevant, within the current power structure. But second, and this is maybe more important, he gives them leverage against Barisan Nasional.
So it complicates any attempt by Barisan Nasional to sort of, pressure them into staying.
Exactly. They're signaling that the Prime Minister is their #1 priority. It's an essential strategic hedge.
So they're keeping their footing in the government while they figure out where their new home is going to be.
Precisely. And Vigneswaran has even laid out the sequence of events. He said if the Malaysian Indian Congress quits Barisan Nasional, they won't fight alone.
So they know they need an alliance.
Right. They know they have to join another coalition to have influence. But, and this part is key, they will only decide which new coalition to join after the exit from Barisan Nasional is totally finalized.
That timing seems really deliberate. It suggests the split is genuinely about problems with Barisan Nasional, not just about, finding a better deal elsewhere.
That's the narrative they're building.
So let's get into that. What is the driving force here? Why is a divorce even on the table after so many decades?
Well, it really boils down to the sentiment on the ground. The mandate Vigneswaran got from his party at their annual General Assembly was apparently very powerful.
What did they say?
The representatives gave the leadership full authority to decide on leaving because, in his words, they are tired of MIC's position in BN.
Tired. That's a strong word. It's not disappointed or concerned. It's tired. That sounds like deep institutional fatigue.
It is. And Vigneswaran frames this whole thing around what he calls the principle of dignity.
Okay, and in the rough and tumble of Malaysian politics, what does dignity actually translate to?
It translates to feeling marginalized. It's political code for saying we are no longer being treated as equals in this partnership.
So it's about seat allocations, cabinet posts, that kind of thing.
That's about all of it. The whole power-sharing formula. If they feel they're being overlooked or dismissed when the big decisions are being made, then from their perspective, the very foundation of the coalition is broken.
So dignity is more important now than history.
That seems to be the calculation. The dignity of the party now outweighs the historical inertia of staying in that coalition.
It's fascinating how he managed the messaging on this, too. He revealed he'd already spoken to Prime Minister Anwar about it last Friday, even before the big public announcement.
Yes, and that meeting was a crucial signal of respect. Vigneswaran was very careful to clarify what the meeting was about. He said it was strictly to inform the Prime Minister of their intention to leave Barisan Nasional. It was explicitly not a negotiation for seats or posts.
So he's trying to make it look principled, not opportunistic.
Exactly.
And what was Anwar's response to all this? A potential political earthquake for the unity government.
Well, interestingly, the Prime Minister advised him to reconsider.
He did?
Yes. Anwar cited the long history of cooperation between the Malaysian Indian Congress and Barisan Nasional, which, isn't that surprising?
Why not?
Because while Anwar appreciates the personal loyalty, his main job is to maintain the overall stability of the unity government. A major component party leaving a foundational coalition That introduces a lot of volatility.
Even if they promise to support him personally.
Even then, it's a delicate balance. It's the stability of the institution versus the freedom of the component parties.
Now, let's talk about the internal politics. Vigneswaran also said that they have not yet informed the chairman of Barisan Nasional, Dato Seri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi. He called it an internal party matter until it's formalized. That sounds less like procedure and more like a tactic.
Oh, it's absolutely tactical leverage. By keeping the Barisan Nasional leadership in the dark, they hold all the cards.
They keep the element of surprise.
Exactly. If they announced it early, Barisan Nasional could mobilize, apply pressure, try to negotiate them down. This way, Vigneswaran can present them with a done deal, a fait accompli. It's a show of strength.
Which brings us to the biggest risk in this entire strategy, something everyone is watching. The anti-hopping law.
The legal tightrope, yes.
Can they actually quit Barisan Nasional without their elected MPs losing their seats?
Well, Vigneswaran seems very confident that they'll be safe. But to understand why it's such a gamble, you have to remember what that law was for.
It was to stop individuals from party hopping for personal gain, prevent governments from collapsing.
Precisely. The law is aimed at punishing the individual representative who crosses the floor. And that's the distinction the Malaysian Indian Congress is banking on.
What's the distinction?
Their argument is that the law targets an individual who leaves Party A to join Party B. They believe it does not apply when a political party, as an entire institution, decides to change its coalition.
So, let me see if I get this. The MP isn't changing their party allegiance. They're still a member of the Malaysian Indian Congress.
Correct.
It's just that their party, the Malaysian Indian Congress, is changing its coalition affiliation.
That's the argument in a nutshell. And if that interpretation holds up in court, it creates a massive loophole for parties to shift alliances. It would be a huge precedent.
But what if they're wrong? What if the courts decide that leaving a coalition does trigger the law for those MPs?
The consequences would be catastrophic for them. Their MPs would lose their seats, which would force a series of by-elections. They could lose all their parliamentary strength in an instant.
So their move for dignity could end in political disaster.
It's a massive, massive risk. It really underscores how fragile some of these political agreements are.
So for you listening, we have to ask, do you think this interpretation of the anti-hopping law is correct? Or is this just a monumental gamble from the Malaysian Indian Congress?
You know, pulling back a bit, this whole announcement signals a dramatic shift. The Malaysian Indian Congress is clearly prioritizing its direct line to the Prime Minister, Anwar, and its own institutional dignity over decades of history with Barisan Nasional.
Old alliances are dissolving.
They're dissolving under the pressure to stay relevant in a political landscape that is just constantly changing.
So the next thing to watch for is that formal notification. The moment they actually tell the Barisan Nasional leadership, that's really the point of no return.
That's the moment it becomes real. And after that, the big question is, who do they align with next?
All while promising to back Anwar until the term ends? It's a high-wire act. And the biggest question is whether this quest for dignity will be worth the incredible risk. Remember to like and subscribe for more videos like this.